us. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves for people who don't know? Erin, you're relatively new to the area, so people may not
I'm
know.
the fresh meat.
So,
Hi everybody, my name is Erin Sullivan. I just recently moved to the area about a year and a half ago after living in New York City for 18 years. I'm originally from Wilmington, North Carolina, so I'm still a hometown girl. But yeah, I just kind of, after being for a long time, I am back in the area and really having a great time getting to know everybody and getting acclimated.
Morgan.
Hi, I am originally from Eastern North Carolina, went to NC State, all of that, and then I went off to New York to Circle in the Square Theater School. Lived up there, worked up there, did similar things, and now I'm back this way, yeah. So it's great. I love the theater scene here in Raleigh.
Well, I am so happy to be chatting with both of you, and I want to start with, before we get into the audition stuff, so many of us are living in this weird virtual reality right now and doing Zoom meetings. I know I jumped into it head first, not really knowing what I was doing. But for people who are teaching remotely or using Zoom as a resource or using Facebook Live, and these aren't necessarily performers. These are like for the theaters and actors who are now offering classes. Do you have any advice or tips? Because this is like a new world order happening.
Yeah, I'm actually been thinking about getting into more of the corporate world, or I'm seeing a lot of Zoom meetings. My number one thing would be check your view of the camera. So if you're on Zoom, see how your face looks. Are you looking at your hairline? Please, let's get it up from under the chin. If you have to, I'm actually using a stool, and then I have a old milk crate. So I'm elevating it, getting it right here, kind of that chest, eye level, that sort of thing. If you have to use books around the house, a suitcase, but just get it, that view, your camera, your laptop up so we can see your face just a little bit better.
And the lighting is a big issue. I told you guys before we started, I have this ridiculous light ring that literally falls over every day. So I've named her Felicia. I thought if I'm nice to her, maybe she won't fall over. But lighting, everybody's Zooms are so dark and you guys are so well lit. So
well, I mean, I literally yesterday, because this was happening, like my fiance is a teacher, and so this is what we went and got. Like, I don't mean to blind everybody, but like it's what this is for construction, right? I mean, yep. I guess we're doing some work here, but and it's like just a soft watt 60 bulb, and then on this side, because you want to counterbalance your face so it's not too heinous, I think this is a book light, actually, like just one of these guys, so that you don't have all these shadows. Oh my gosh, that's really hard to get back on. But that way too, like, you know, it's at least people can see you. You know, that's like, you know, the most frustrating thing is you're like, oh, you know, right now this is how we're connecting to people. Like, let me at least see your face. So
right.
Yeah, this I think really this costs like a whopping $10. So it's not. This is definitely makeshift. You know, not off Amazon, nothing glamorous, but at least you can see me, right?
Yeah, we can see you. And I guess my tip, I mean, the only thing I've learned kind of doing this and navigating this is it's never going to be perfect. Like, you just have to submit.
No, it's not a movie studio. Like, you know, you're being resourceful. You're working with what you got. So, you know, everyone's forgiving everybody right now.
Yeah. And I tell people, use windows. Like, I have windows in this room, the blinds are open. So if it's a sunny day, go ahead and you want that light facing you. I'm a little fancy. I got my softbox out.
So Morgan, something happened. I don't know if other people on Facebook are hearing this, but something has happened to your mic. I'm having trouble. So
oh no.
Okay, now I can hear you. Now you're not muffled. You were like muffled for a minute. But
okay, maybe I'll lean in a little bit. I have the windows open in the room I'm in now. Use natural light. I'm fancy, so I have my softbox out. If you need to set up lights around you, do that. Yeah, just use your household lamps or windows, anything.
Natural light is the best act. I mean, you can't beat natural light. Like
windows. So let's jump into the audition process. I told you guys before we went on air, every single one of these chats I've done, when I've opened it up to questions, people are having audition questions. And what we're going to talk about specifically is really the video audition, which is like the new, as Erin said, the new normal. I know, none of us are really digging the new normal,
No.
but you know. So let's start with the casting notice. So right now we're seeing a lot of casting notices, and I'm not so in tune with what's happening with the professional world. So I'm just in tune with like the community theaters, but I'm seeing a lot of casting notices, virtual video auditions or video auditions for shows coming up like Urington and just Raleigh Little Theater's Music Man. So when you're looking at a casting notice, is there coded language or some sort of verbiage in there to help you tease out what that director or casting director might be looking for?
I mean, I think it's hard. It's judge, because with the casting notices in general, they're still going to be looking for what they're looking for if you walked in the room. So I don't think there's any hidden code, at least, again, I'm speaking strictly from like when I post a casting notice and from my experience as a director in casting the productions I've directed, it's pretty cut and dry. So I think whatever you're looking at in the actual post is going to be exactly what they want to see in the room. So I think if they're saying, you know, the traditional 16-bar cut or a monologue, I would take it at exactly value, and I probably would respect what they're putting in the notice as well. So just because, you know, you're filming in your home and they're like, you know, it's, you know, the typical 2-minute audition, you know, you don't want to go and sing an entire song. You know, we just, again, it's initial audition. So you want to give, you know, respect in the fact that they still want to hear a 16 to 32 bar cut and, you know, a 1.5-minute monologue. I don't think sometimes it's going to give you the ability to give yourself a 15-minute audition, because that's not going to help you. But I think that, I don't think there's a hidden agenda in these posts at all. At least that's my take on that.
I play with age. I think I can play not a wide range, but I take my glasses off, put my hair up. So with age, I can play a little bit if it says 30 or 20. But if it's the one thing I don't mess around with, it's like I got a call the other day that was for an Asian woman, and I was like, sorry, I think this is incorrect. That sort of thing. So I will not submit for things like that. But if it's an age thing, costumes, makeup, you can always fudge just a little bit.
Yeah, it gives you a little bit more of creative freedom actually to, you know, manipulate your look without maybe it being too drastic, or if you were waiting in line to go in. But you know, which that's, I guess, to our advantage on doing it like this. But yeah, just to answer your question, I think it's pretty cut and dry when it comes to the postings.
Okay. So now let's talk about equipment. You guys, we talked about lighting a second ago, kind of down and dirty lighting. What kind of equipment, what can people pull from their houses and kind of create a makeshift backdrop that will make them look more professional?
Morgan, I'll let you kick off.
Sure. This is a bed sheet. This is just a bed sheet, you guys. But I've done things with push pins, put curtains or sheets up with push pins, finishing nails, that sort of thing. Or honestly, a blank wall in your house. If you can find a blank wall, that works too.
Which is like half the challenge. I barely have any blank walls. I'm like, oh, like show posters.
And would you recommend that somebody kind of have as much of a blank space behind them as possible?
Well, Because it gives them more direct attention on focusing on you.
Yes.
You know, and that's really, you know, what it comes down to. Cause like right now, like, I mean, I'm looking at you, Lauren, but I'm also like, what does her pillow say? You know, like it's just kind of, it kind of is, you know, yeah. I'm like, oh, come from away, Auntie Pack. Good show. But like, you know, it kind of just helps then, you know, you focus, you know, the casting agent or director focusing on the work that's being done and not the atmosphere that you're in.
Yes.
Okay,
I would
very
agree.
good. And let's talk about software for a second, because Erin, you're talking about 16 bars, but you know, most people, once they start singing, they're not gonna, a lot of the young kids that I'm seeing online, they're doing all of these live performances, which is wonderful. I'm loving all the live concerts, but they're not singing 16 bars. They're singing a whole song. So if somebody said, wow, I sounded really good on that cut, but I only need 16 bars, what kind of software can they download?
Well, I mean,
a lot of freeware, right?
is like kind of everyone's best friend. I am not tech savvy at all. I am an old lady, and in tech world, I'm an ancient lady. So, I'm always like, well, I don't know how to do anything. But I think like iMovie will help you if you pull a karaoke track and you want to really excel in this one, the chorus into the bridge and then do it. You have the ability it lets you do all that cutting and pasting. Again, there's now so many sources where people who play piano, if you have a callback and someone has sent you sides and songs from the show and wants you to record that material, outsource. Say, find somebody on all of these outlets and say, hey, listen, I'll pay you $15. Can you record this for me on my piano and send it to me? And then you have that cut. I think in doing that too, not only are you obviously helping a friend in the arts financially, you're also giving the casting director and the director the exact material they want to see. So that's kind of where I think when it comes to the options and I mean, we're so lucky that, people have created these karaoke tracks and we have YouTube at our, at our fingertips. I definitely didn't have any of that stuff when I was hoofing it back in the 90s. But, I think that those are two options into really giving that specific condensed material.
Mm-hmm. And there is, I think, a company called Piano Tracks with an X, and they do generic piano tracks that you can use.
And maybe when we're done, you guys will send me some of these links, and I can post them in either the comments or when I post the video on our website. I'll definitely put these links in there.
Yeah, totally.
As well as links to both of you, because you're doing coaching, and we're going to talk about that at the end. Another question I have is about music. So the other night, Ted and Stan did this beautiful performance from Come From Away for the real Kevin T in this interview that I did. And when they popped onto Zoom chat, I had heard them rehearse, so I knew how beautiful this was. But when they popped onto Zoom chat, Ted was playing the piano and the camera was really close, and Zoom just did this weird thing with the sound. And so I said, Ted, when you're done and we pop off here, just record it, you and Stan, on your phone and send it to me. And it sounded so much better. Is it any music recording advice if somebody's playing the piano for themselves or using instruments? Should people be singing a cappella so they don't get this weird feedback?
I mean, this is a really, I think, a challenging question because you're auditioning through a camera, and we're doing these things where we can't go out and a lot of people don't have access to this high-end equipment. I do think that there should be a level of forgiveness when it comes to casting right now. Again, like I said, that's how I feel. But I mean, it's just trying to figure out balances and, if you were fortunate enough to be, quarantining with a friend or a spouse, roping them in and being like, hey, I'm going to try this out and really doing some audio stuff. That's what me and Luke did this morning beforehand. I mean, I went and got this sensible little guy right here, $24 from Walmart. I had to buy some groceries anyway. So, but, I think there's got to be a level of forgiveness because it's not going to be, we're not top recording studios here. So.
Right.
And I think
And clearly,
your good directors, your good casting directors, certainly the ones that are experienced, are going to be able to hear what they need to hear from you.
If you're having a live piano, I would definitely want to make sure you're heard over the instrument. That was also like my friend Ian Subsera, who's a casting director for Binder. He just even gave it advice. He's like, make sure that try to balance out as much as you can. So if you do have someone playing live, or are playing with a track, that track is not overpowering your vocals. Right. So just keeping that into account.
Morgan, did you have something to add to?
Oh, I was just saying, clearly I'm having some audio issues. It's a little forgiveness there is, and I can send you a link for if you're recording with your phone, there is a little mic I use that can plug into your phone, and it acts as, and it takes, there we go, and it takes away the grittiness.
Send that to me.
Okay.
Will do.
Lots of good tips. Okay, so let's talk about what people should prepare. Is the monologue preparation or the song preparation, and we'll talk about dance in a second, is that different for a video audition than if you were doing a live audition? Is the selection different?
I wouldn't say the selection shouldn't be different, no.
When it comes to making the videos themselves, actually I reached out to two friends of mine just for some additional outside source material. My friend Jennifer Bishop, she runs the Savannah Repertory Theater in Savannah, Georgia. And she is not only the artistic director, but she does most of the casting herself. And so I'd asked Jen too, what formats does she prefer, auditions being sent in? Because even for like when I was, I'm still casting Legally Blonde, when like people would send me stuff, like, oh my gosh, you're bombarded with all different types of formats. And so her and my friend Ian with Binder Casting and RSW Entertainment, both of them said that they prefer like YouTube, definitely YouTube, because you can just send the link and you don't have to I also too, Jen said no WeTransfer. Like unless someone's specific about WeTransfer, she said really, really frustrating and a challenging format to get in. But a lot of times too, Ian said that he prefers in callbacks the links to be sent separate. So if you're given callback material, say they send you three scenes and a song, that you do everything in a section, because he said that gives him the ability to pick and choose what he thinks that the director wants to see, and he can then take that and send it forward to the creatives. I thought that was actually really, because usually you're like, okay, I'll just do it all in one take, and I'm totally guilty of this. I just made an audition video a couple weeks ago and I was like, oh, wow, I didn't even think of that. And then, also too, like just when it comes down to just, using iMovie and making it as just streamlined as possible and condensing it. But I thought it was interesting that both of my friends, and because I prefer YouTube as well. You can just get into there. It's super easy. It's like you're not having to download 8,000 things onto your computer, your desktop, and you can go up there and you can load it. And it's super easy to share when you want an artistic director or, somebody else to look at the material as well.
Yeah. The only real difference I would say, because when I teach in TV and camera, it's where you're looking. So the acting, I don't think should be any different if you're in the room or on camera. The acting to me shouldn't be different. It's playing to a smaller area. So pick your person, like just left or right of the camera. You don't need to daydream over here. I don't need to see any of this. Or why are you looking up? Just pick your person. Musical theater or TV and film. Let me see that you're talking to that character over here. It's a little weird when you're acting directly into a camera. It's like in the room. Don't stare at the table because it makes it gets weird. Pick your person, but think a little narrower. That's how I describe it.
Yeah, that's sound advice. I kind of went on a tangent. I went on a different tangent.
No, that's why we're here. Oh my gosh.
It's good. That's why we're having this chat. Let's talk about talked about lighting. Let's talk about the day you're going to film. You've got your setup, you've got your equipment. What should you be wearing?
Oh, you guys are nailing it. I'm not. I was like laying out on my porch beforehand.
I think you should always, my preference is to go with a solid color.
Solid color, yeah.
I tried out, I was going to wear something else and it was patterned and it just looks odd. I like gray blue backgrounds because if I wear black, I can still be seen. If I wear white, I can still be seen. When you do a black background, you can sink into it, or if you do a white background, you can also lose it. I also say give a hint to the character. Mm-hmm. Don't go buy a costume to be the policeman. Maybe wear a collared shirt. That's the hint to the character. That sort of thing. That's my, or if it's a wedding dress, maybe you're wearing white. We don't need a veil. We have an imagination.
Yeah, don't get crazy. It's not Halloween over here. Yeah, and definitely too, like being a little bit more conservative, where you guys are wearing a little bit more. I'm wearing a spaghetti strapped dress, but so definitely not showing too much skin, and also keeping your hair out of your face. Like, whether you're wearing it back, like like make sure we can see your body. If you're, a lot of times people they want to see waist up for some stuff, and also you want full body shots too, because it's like, it's everyone's bodies are beautiful and awesome, but sometimes there's, certain physical characteristics that need to go along with casting.
Right.
So, I think when it comes to wardrobe, yeah, just look appropriate. Like, don't, again, if you're, don't, like Morgan said, all of that is just sound advice. So.
And I'm not quite understanding this. This is my personal opinion. The ladies in dresses for every audition. If the character is a tomboy or just a regular person, you don't need to wear a jewel tone dress.
Yeah.
That's my little pet peeve. Why are we wearing dresses for this character? Not that you don't look great in that dress. Does it suit the character in any way that you're trying to audition for?
So if you're auditioning for Scout and To Kill a Mockingbird, you're not going to wear a pretty dress.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Just keep it simple, keep it classy,
Classy and sassy.
Talking about the full body shot, Morgan, those of you who don't know, Morgan is a brilliant choreographer. I loved Bright Star last year at Theater Fest. I'm sad Theater Fest has been canceled this summer. But Bright Star was beautiful and brilliant, and the choreography was perfect, I thought, spot on.
Oh, wow.
My question though is, if you're doing a video audition, Jess and I did this ridiculous TikTok dance party the other night, which will never happen again, by the way.
Never say never. We're locked in here for a lot of days.
Yeah, Jess can dance as much as she wants on camera. Me, not so much. However, I had to stand practically in the other room to get the full body. Right. So do you have any movement tips or tips for, I don't even know if you're doing video choreography on video.
I haven't seen recently video choreography. Well, I am doing dance videos for a dance studio, which is separate. But the dance world is going to be hard. But let me say, also, Miss Erin Sullivan over there is an amazing dancer and choreographer. What I do, if I had to do a dance video, sometimes if you're with your family or if somebody else is in your house with you, I kind of go, listen, I get the living room from this time to this time, move the couches.
Move the furniture.
Say, Mom, I'm sorry, I'm going to move that lamp back. But we do need to see your body if you know what dancing under yourself means, some of these big travel steps, you may have to just put it under yourself. And you can see technique. A choreographer can see a technique and know what a person's doing. It's just going to be difficult. You do need to see the full body. So you may just have to go, okay, this is the day I'm filming. The house will be a mess and I will put it back together later.
And I think a lot of times too, also, again, like just because I've been trying to cast Legally Blonde and it's been kind of crazy and stuff like that. And it's like forgiveness, where if you have done, now's a great time. If you've done shows in the past and you have any types of clips of material that showcased you dancing in any kind of movement, whether it be, doing a time step or doing something, regardless of if you have anything that you could put together and create a dance reel.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times too, I'll just be like, cool, lay down this material for me and send me a dance reel. Send me just material that you have of other productions you've done. And then that way it's not so awkward that you're like, doing a bop ma in like the middle of your kitchen, so, but that way at least it like helps to seeing you performing dance wise in our natural setting. So yeah, maybe tap in, dust off some of those old, not too old. I'm not going back to like when you're like 14 giving me like front handsprings, but in like the last couple of years.
I was going to add, sorry, Lauren, I was going to add, simply too, she was talking about bop mas. I was going to say sometimes in this weird world, if you can do a pas de bourrée, pirouette, and a bop ma,
that's all you need.
That's all you need. And if you don't know what any of these things are, contact Erin or I.
Yes.
We'll let you know.
And I feel like, you're giving me kind of this idea, because I feel like I'll be programming a lot of these virtual chats for the not very distant future, sadly. But I feel like we need to do like a sizzle reel or a dance reel, like primer for folks. So
sure.
Yeah, I'm going to put that on the back burner, and we're going to have to do one. Because you have, Erin, I mean, for people who've seen your show with Love Marilyn, you've got a great sizzle reel for with Love Marilyn, I think.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very, I can't take full credit for that. We had other people professionally do those reels and stuff like that. So I'm really bad at doing anything for myself. Actually, I need to outsource people who are good at video editing, because I'm really bad at it. So
yes. Okay, so we talked about what to wear. Let's talk about makeup. When I am normally in my house, I don't do the makeup face. I don't wake up and be like, I gotta put on my face today.
Oh no, I'm the opposite of both of you.
I said Erin's gonna be like, yes.
No. I just don't have facial features. Like I don't have eyebrows or eyelashes, and anybody who knows this and is watching on Facebook, and have done shows with me, this. So I don't feel like I can start living as a human being unless I draw my eyebrows.
Oh,
that is just me.
Well, so I guess my question for both of you is, because this is video audition, is the makeup going to be different than if I'm walking into a theater and auditioning live?
I think so.
Yeah.
Like I said, I do teach camera and acting work. The camera is going to be closer.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need, why do we do stage makeup? It's so the people in the back can see those lashes, right? Can see that we have definition. When that camera's closer, you really wear makeup. Sure, it doesn't need to be as dark. It doesn't need to be as thick.
No contouring. You don't need to contour. You're not like.
We don't need it. If you love a cat eye, maybe take it down, because every time you blink in on an video audition, you can see that eyeliner. That's just a thing I've noticed.
Yeah. What about men? Do men need to do some makeup for these video auditions?
I think if you don't look into powder, I just don't need to see you sweating. If the forehead's shiny, toilet paper, who has that?
That's a luxury none of us have right now. I'm sorry, not a household item.
Toilet paper and tissue is thin and it gets rid of that shine, little dab.
Yeah, I mean, just a basic powder for men. Like, I think that's pretty much recommended in headshots too, just to take away that shine, but it doesn't have to get anything crazy.
And is the makeup in the audition reel or the tape going to be different for a musical or play? There's a lot of musical video auditions I've seen lately, so I'm just going to say musical, but versus film or commercial work, because I know you guys have done everything. So is the self-tape going to be different?
Yeah, I mean, I say absolutely, because like for film and TV, which I'm horrible at these, I'm like, okay, let's just get this out here. I'm not good at self-tapes across the board, but when it comes to film and TV, I'm atrocious. Hence why my resume in that format is not very long. But when it comes to theater, you have the ability, because they know that you're not doing it for this. You're going to have to be on a stage in a theater performing to, you know, a 300 to 1,200 seat house, you know? So if your facial expressions are larger than life, which mine are, it's because that's good. And you don't need to play to, like, I don't think, again, like this is Erin land, like, and me looking at stuff when I'm like casting, but I don't want you to dumb it down for the camera when it's a musical theater audition, you know, because if then I don't need to necessarily be hiring somebody who's going to just talk like this the entire time. You know, I mean, it's just really, you know, like that. I'm sorry, what? You know, like, you know, where like, that's why, like, for film and TV, absolutely. I have way too much forehead tension all of the time, which is why I probably don't book work. But, you know, but that's where I think it's two totally different styles of like auditioning when it comes to self-tapes. Yeah.
They're different styles, but I still say bring it in this window. Even in a musical theater world, I always am like, who are they talking to? What looking at in this corner that's so exciting? Because they're looking at the balcony usually. There ain't no balcony here. So once I always say,
like, play it to the orchestra, house right.
that sconce over there.
Yeah, over there.
And then bring it, pick your musical or TV and film. Pick your character, pick your person. Let me see who you are talking to. And if you have a reader, you do not have to look at the reader on a video audition.
That's
Pick
great
your person.
advice.
Let me see who you're talking to.
Love that. And I guess the other thing, so I want you to give some tips. Some of us are quarantining with our children, our husbands, our parents, if you're young, you know, if you're a younger person, and those people all of a sudden become your cameraman or your reader or your, and that person, in my case, all of a sudden they're professional coaches and they're coaching me on how to do these videos. So can you talk about the communication process and communicating, if you are blessed enough to have someone in your house who's going to help you film, how do you keep the peace and communicate with them as to exactly what you want? Because you don't always want somebody to give you feedback or direct what you're doing.
Erin?
Well, first off, I would show them this segment. Yeah, it's true. Everybody at that point then thinks they're a director and they know better. Obviously, shove with love. You know, they're doing you a favor. They're doing you a solid. Even today, like I was telling Luke yesterday, I was like, oh, I'm going to tape for Lauren, and then I'm going to do this like live fundraiser for our, you know, Interact on Wednesday, which I don't sing live on camera ever because I don't. I'm like, but I need to like up the ante here because people are like killing it. And he's like, I was like, I found this, like people were like, oh, okay. I was like, what are lighting like references, blah, blah, blah. And people are sending me these. And Luke's like, no, we're just going to go like get a clip lamp at Walmart and get you a soft bulb. And I was like, okay. But then I was like, I am engaged to a photography teacher. So in that case, if they do have the knowledge, welcome it. If they don't, and you're feeling a little bit where it's starting to like encroach in your, I guess, your process, I think just be kind, be like, hey, thank you so much. Let's get this laid down, and then I'll take all that into account, and just, I want to get the best material. Because if you're starting to feel like angsty and you're starting to feel like stressed out, it's going to show. It's going to show. You're not going to give yourself the best opportunity to perform. Also try not to have them rush you. So it's like, if you're going to be having somebody borrowing their time, be mindful of their time, but then also say, hey, this might take an hour and a half. I am not a one take wonder. I'm like a 60 take wonder. And usually I go back to the first take, but then I would just be kind and know that they're doing you a favor, but then also be firm and being like, I'm not asking your opinion on this.
Yeah. I love what Erin said. As a female, I'm trying not to say sorry so much for things I'm not sorry about. I have in the past said, thank you so much. I actually know the exact, just lie if you don't, I actually know the exact look they're going for. So just trust me on this one. Or, compliment, gratitude. Thank you so much. That is a great idea, but I would really like it if we did it this way. Be firm. Thank you so much. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I mean, and then that way you're like, okay. I mean, even sometimes too, the specificness of the filming of the posting is like, sometimes people will say, you don't need your like mom being like, oh, but I really like it when you're like off to the side and I can see you're like, no. Stop. Like bring up the posting, and just then be like, hey, like let's work through this together. Cause I mean, it is a little bit more than just pressing play. So.
Absolutely. And that's what I've realized with these Zoom chats that I've done. It's not as easy as it looks. And I'm not video auditioning for anything. So
it's not, it's true though.
I'm going to read through some of the questions and ask you guys a question while I'm kind of scrolling through what people are saying and asking on Facebook. So if you have questions, you're watching us on Facebook, put your questions in the comments and I will read them along or read them out loud to them. My dad's commenting. I just want you to know.
I roll.
Yeah, Morgan's expressions are priceless. That's what my dad's saying. So
nice.
He's one of my coaches, by the way. He's one of those people always giving me.
Dad.
All right. So talking about coaches, there's a lot of people online right now, a lot of professionals like you guys who are offering virtual coaching sessions. So for people watching, do they need a coach? And if they do need a coach, what should they be looking for when hiring a coach?
Erin, do you want to speak?
That is a great question. I recently saw a post on Facebook that because so many actors are offering their services and want to help, and again, like, we're all out of work and we're all wanting to support each other, but it was like, just because you've done a show before doesn't make you a coach, and I was like, wow, I read it and it seemed like really harsh, but then I was like, they're absolutely right. And even I questioned myself because I've never taught at a university. I, don't, practice every day in a structured acting academy. But then I have to go back and go, okay, well, I've got over 30 years in the industry. I have an extensive resume. Not only do I have directing credits, I have producing credits, I'm a published author. And so I kind of had to go back and look at myself. And then, so when somebody asked me, hey, what are your credentials? Why, and what do you feel like you excel in? Ask questions is my answer. If there's somebody who's putting their services out there saying that and I do say, if there is an audition that you want to book and a show you're passionate about and something that you're like, I want to nail this, absolutely. get an outside source, because a lot of times, like, you know, we live in our little bubble, and that's great. It's a good thing. But sometimes you need somebody to go, hey, have you thought about it like this? And just do a little bit of tweaking, you know, a little bit of tweaking. But I think if you're looking for a coach and finding someone who also fits, and it's okay to test out a couple different people, you know, but ask questions, ask about, you know, their experience and why they think that they're a good coach.
Yes.
And I think I mean, and that's what I do. You know, I've had dozens and dozens of acting coaches, dance coaches, private ballet coaches, like you name it. I've been doing this since I was 7 years old. Like, but I think that that's really kind of the thing, is don't be afraid if someone's offering their services. Be like, cool, yeah, I'm more than happy. But you know, what makes you the best person for the job? You're auditioning them just as well. So
Yeah.
Ask questions.
I always tell people, you can ask me for my bio. You can ask me any questions. I was exactly right, Erin. Just ask that certain things. Have you studied Linklater? Have you studied Alexander technique? What do you like about those techniques? Have you, I mean, just ask a bunch of questions, whatever you're interested in.
And as a student too, know what you're looking for.
Yes.
Like, I'm not going to be able to give you a, you know, like a hardcore acting class, because that's not what I excel in. You know, I excel in musical theater, and I am really good at that. I'm good with acting in songs, and I'm really good at just like, you know, bringing all those pieces together, where, yeah, I'm not the best person, where I'm not going to be the person you want to talk to if you want to be coached through a Shakespearean monologue. Like, let's just be real.
Right.
So, I think just knowing too what you want out of that coach.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, and what I think is interesting looking at people's resumes for both of you, I mean, Erin, somebody had commented on Facebook, they saw you on the tour of Hairspray, and they love that you are keeping people up to date on what you're doing. But, you know, if I'm auditioning for my high school production of Hairspray, it's a no-brainer to me that somebody who's been in that show on tour would be the go-to person to coach me through that audition.
Yeah, and that being as simple as that, done and done. Like, that's awesome. You know, like, yeah, I'd want to go directly to a source. If there's something that's a little bit more of a wide range, where I know I was coaching with some students earlier this week who was just building their audition book, because they just were like, we don't have as much of a knowledge of, you know, of musical theater knowledge, and I want to start auditioning more, and just literally starting to figure out more song selections, stuff that they like, relate to, and then finding material that not only do they relate to, but they sing well with, and then finding a cut within that then when they go into the room and perform that, there's confidence in that. So there's a lot of mechanics behind it. But yeah, I mean, it's it's a little bit tricky to navigate, and that's okay. It's a little daunting, but that's why you can also have multiple coaches. Like, just because like you coach with one person for one thing doesn't mean you can't coach on somebody else. It's not like you go into your colorist. Very different. Like, you know, you can have multiple coaches who help you in different aspects of the industry, because there are so many aspects of the industry.
And the other thing I want to say is, I know there are a lot of famous people out there right now giving coaching sessions, and that's wonderful. You know, if you have the resources to do that, shout out to the famous people doing coaching sessions. But we have so many professionals in our midst in the triangle that please support these local artists as we're going through this pandemic, and look close to home for professional acting coaches, because I mean, there's a lot of people with their equity cards who've been on national tours, who've been in films, who do commercials, that can help you, and they live right here. So,
and I will interject, I just thought of something. When you're asked questions, does this teacher want to hear themselves talk? Are they a good teacher? Mm-hmm. Are they just saying, no, do it like this? Or me, I'm always going to give you where it's coming from. The tension's coming from your shoulder is actually lengthening this muscle here. It's working here. I'm going to give you the background. Or are they just saying, just do it like me? Are they teaching you? Are they just wanting to hear themselves talk? Are they trying to perform for you, or are they actually giving you knowledge? That sort of thing.
And Erin, when you're working with people on their books, and Morgan, when you're working with people on their auditions, I think when you're a young performer, you have it in your mind that maybe you're one type of character, one type of actor, one type of performer. And then we go to a coach and we find out, oh, no, you're actually this. Or if I want to play in a certain role, or I want to do a certain genre of theater, but my book is all Shakespeare and I want to do musical comedy or something like that. Are you finding that as you're coaching kids and as you're coaching young people, maybe not so young people, but as you're coaching, that people have it in their minds that maybe they're one type, and then when you get a hold of them, they're not, and you can open up a whole new world to them?
That is literally one of my favorite things. And it's been something that I've not only, I battle with, like right now I'm battling with it now. Like it's knowing your type, like across the board, knowing your type. Knowing how to sell yourself. Because when you audition for a show, that's literally what you're doing. It's a pitch to sell yourself, being like, I am the best person for this job. If you got to be realistic into your skill sets, then I am not going to go out for Christine and Phantom because I am not a legit soprano. As much as I love Andrew Lloyd Webber and I think it's a beautiful show, I know it is just not a realistic goal. I think that's the first thing, is just really evaluating yourself. And yes, looking at people's books, being like, okay, what do you want to perform and why? How do you see yourself? And it's, of course, being, trying to have, I am not good with, I'm not good at classic musical theater. I am not, and I know it. I don't book it. I can go in there and try until I'm blue in the face for a production of like Carousel, and I'm not my voice does not sing in that material, and that's okay. I do contemporary pop musical theater grade, I can belt through my face and I'm a straight tone singer, it is what it is. I wish I had the dexterity in my chords to be like Jessie Mueller, but I don't, I don't have it. But, because I do consider myself very specific, I'm struggling with knowing my type because I'm used to playing the teenager and, excelling in all of these very young contemporary poppy shows. But now I'm almost 40 and I'm like technically in like mom world, so now, but my voice doesn't sound mature enough. So when I look at people's books and help with even coachings and stuff, it's really kind of just dissecting. It's like, pause where you are now and let's backtrack. Why is this in your book? What do you like? What shows are you attracted to? Who do you like to sing to? Who do you relate to? And then kind of going from there, I'll venture off and give them a couple shows and say, look at these shows, listen to them, because based on what you've, sang for me through, a camera, look at these people and let me know if you like them, because they're very similar right now. And it's just kind of starting from scratch. That doesn't mean that you can't, embrace all these other things, but also sometimes you just want to book a job, so I kind of think it's harder than it looks, but be forgiving to yourself.
Yes. I teach the toolbox. That's my thing. Let's develop tools and put them in your toolbox.
Hang on. We're hearing that reverb, so I'm just, what? Yeah, so I think if you like what we did before is you just kind of started over and then we weren't hearing that anymore.
Sure. I teach a toolbox method. Your face tells me that it's still there.
No, we're still hearing this weird.
So weird. It might be an internet connection. Hold on. Just, yeah.
It's okay.
Let me see.
Get headphones too. It's all right.
And then anything people aren't hearing, then I can, I have a wonderful transcription service, so I can send the video to them and they can transcribe it for people too. So
Andy.
So your toolbox, you want to try it?
I teach a toolbox. It's just when I teach. Yeah, it's okay. Putting different things in your toolbox so you can use them at different times.
Okay, so what Morgan's saying is putting different things in your toolbox so you can use them at different times. I feel like, we're going to do this. Natalia's saying that headphones should fix it. So I don't know if you have.
I'm going to get some headphones.
Headphones. Thank you, Natalia. And Natalia also had a question, so I'm going to. And Alex Lewis said, you're his coach, Erin. So he said that shout out to you. Jacqueline had a question for you, Erin. What role have you done that has stood out to you the most and why?
Wait, is this Hairspray fan Jacqueline?
Jacqueline Sullivan.
Oh my gosh, yeah, she has been following my life for like over a decade. Hi, sweetheart. Okay, wow, what roles stood out to me the most and why? Well, obviously, playing Amber in Hairspray was probably one of the most, meaningful roles for me. I think the reason why it stood out and was so awesome is that here I was doing this show about segregation and integration. And I remember the day that President Obama was elected, we were doing the show. And we were in Canada and we were following everything. And the minute we had huge TVs we were in Canada, which is hysterical, but we were running in and out of the green room, just watching the numbers happen. And it was right before we went to do Can't Stop the Beat when President Obama was elected or won. And I get emotional talking about it because here we were doing a show about that. And I think that because I got to be a part of that production when that was happening, oh my God, it's a moment I'll never forget. So yeah, I got to say then, obviously other roles have stood out to me and meant a lot to me throughout my entire professional career, but I'll never forget that exact role in that exact moment on that exact day.
Good. And then Natalia had a question, and she's looking for advice for editing video footage. Should you include your resume and headshot in the video?
I don't know, just your name. I would say name and contact.
Okay.
And again, a lot of times if you're making a video and you have an agent, I would run that by the agent, whether or not they want just the agent contact but I always say, even when I had an agent, I guess maybe they might call me and yell at me, I would do my agent contact and then still put my contact because better safe than sorry. But as long as your name is in every segment, you don't need to use your headshot to pan into, just get in there, use the material, say your name, and out.
Yep.
Lauren?
Agreed. You have it digitally. They don't need to see it doubly. We're good. We got it.
So Morgan, I don't know, you're still reverbing. You kind of sound like Darth Vader.
Yeah, she's not
like who you sound like right now, but it's kind of funny. The voice is not matching the face right now.
Well, I might have to give up.
Oh, well, we're almost done, and
yeah.
we're almost done. We're close to being done, but I guess I have two final questions for you both. Natalia's asking a follow-up question. Should you have a title page or slate?
Always slate. Always just make sure your name is in there. Unless if they specify, I think theater sometimes is different than film and TV. Sometimes they ask for your height, just because you don't really know. But yeah, as long as you just make sure your name, yeah, you can be like, hi. I don't think location is necessary unless again asked for it. So yeah, just read those breakdowns in detail.
I'll be speaking in sign language from now on.
Morgan's gonna start signing to us.
I know a little. I'm not making fun of anyone. I just said my name is, by the way.
Advice for high school seniors. I have a high school senior who doesn't want to go into the performing arts right now, but she's so very sad. And I know there are a lot of high school seniors, their shows have been canceled. Their last senior show has been canceled.
Like the worst. Yeah.
But on a lot of these chats, high school seniors have been asking, do you have any college audition video advice as they're trying to navigate this process during a pandemic?
I don't want to answer that completely honest because I'm not privy to what universities are asking for. It might be completely different in the professional community theater world. College auditions might be a lot more structured. I will find out that information for you. I know I'm devastated. You know, my Luke teaches at Jordan and they were doing Shrek as their, you know, senior show. I was going to help them out on Shrek. And I'm just like gutted for the kids. But I think that that's a great question. But I can't honestly answer that because these college audition videos might have a very stricter protocol compared to a little bit more of the casual, I guess casualness you'd say of just making you know, auditions for, you know, a different template.
Morgan, I muted you. Now I'm gonna unmute you and see if that helps. Let's see if that kind of works here.
It may not.
Well,
it was so weird because before it just glitched for a second and then it came back. So
we were hearing you fine until like this very end. So that's okay. The magic of Zoom. And I guess a final question for you guys is, what are the biggest mistakes that you see people make in an audition? I know, Erin, you're planning, it was postponed, but you're planning to do Legally Blonde. You're directing Legally Blonde. You've been in Legally Blonde. So what is the biggest audition faux pas you've seen? Biggest mistakes?
Oh God, this sounds really strange to say this. I'm attracted just to people not overdoing it. You know, just in being very casual and being like, hey, how are you? My name is so-and-so. Here is my, you know, and not it being straight-laced, because I had a director once, actually my director for Shrek. I was a disaster in this audition. I don't even know how I booked it still to this day. And I had asked Steven one day at a cast party, I said, why did you hire me? And I knew that there was many people who were better than me, saying everything better than me. And he just was like, I liked you as a person and I wanted to work with you. And like that meant more to me than any compliment on my talent that I'd ever received. And now I carry that with me when I cast a show, because I look and go, is this someone I want to work with? Is this someone who is going to be receptive to me? And is this someone who's going to be real and not put up this whole facade? Because you spend a lot of time together when you're putting up a show, and you got to like listen to me, you know, talk a lot. But I think in auditions, when I see somebody who's being really genuine, or if like if it's an imperfect audition, it's cool, you know. I guess don't try too hard and just be you, because we can see it, you know.
And Morgan, like, I've asked her to now type into the chat section.
Oh, I love
it. So then I could read. So Morgan says, don't be too eager. It's okay to mess up. I think that's, you know, we got to be forgiving ourselves right now on this new technology. And like you said, I think most directors and most folks are going to be forgiving. So.
And if they're not, maybe you don't want to work for them, and that's okay, you know.
We are approaching people. Okay, Morgan's typing. People want you to be the one. I guess I think I know what you might be trying to say here. Be the person you want to work with. They're looking to cast someone. Why not you? So I love it. Morgan and I are doing the ESP thing now. And thank you guys, everyone, for following us on Facebook. This has been great. You guys are such professionals. You both of you boast such amazing resumes on stage and backstage and teaching. You just are such genuine, wonderful human beings. And I hope everybody will support our local artists by hiring our local folks to coach them as we navigate all of this.
Yeah.
And I see many more Zoom chats in our future, because as you were talking,
absolutely.
it was like lots of subject areas to cover here. So
well, thank you so much for having us, and I'm sure I can speak for Morgan on this too. Like, you're amazing, and you are such a gift to the area and to the industry, and everything you do, giving us this outlet. You don't get enough praise. Lauren, thank you so much.
well,